Morning. Thank you for tuning in.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in again.
All right, so today's class, a level 1 class, will be with neck and shoulders, and we'll be starting standing. So you'll just need some space to move the arms freely. You can stay where you're at for now. I'm going to, a couple announcements for this weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Hopefully you have some extra time off.
This is the best day.
Yeah, it's the best day. So Sunday tomorrow I have a class and it's from 10 to 11 and that's on Zoom. So if you'd like to take the class, there's still space. You can register for the class on my website. It's jonwittyoga.com. And with that class, I'd be able to see you. So if you're a person that you're still kind of getting your bearings with your yoga and you're having a harder time or you really like feedback, that's a great platform. The masks, we're continuing to design more masks. There's a camo mask now, there's sport mask, 3 plies. So we're selling those as well on top of the donations. So 10% of this class donations will be going towards designing more masks, producing more masks. So we really greatly appreciate all of the support that we've been getting, comments and donations. So email me with any questions or comments you may have about the classes. I'd love to design more of the classes for whatever it is that you need. So again, we're going to start in a standing position so you can stand up. And when you stand up, you're just basically going to have your feet about the width of your sitting bones. So think of your feet as like railroad tracks. Some people turn their feet in, some people turn their feet out too much. If you have problematic knees, it's okay that the feet aren't perfectly straight initially, but over time as your hips develop, you'll be able to turn your feet more forward. Feet out, which is more common, it's a product of tight rotators and it's a product of tight adductors. So as you practice, these areas should get looser and stronger and you'll be able to stand better. So just have the hands behind you and hook the thumbs and broaden the shoulders and just see what you see in terms of your alignment. So you might be a little crooked, which is fine, right? But as you organize yourself to the wall that's in front of you, you'll be able to stand better. So come up on the toes, just lift the heels. And by lifting the heels, we're gonna lower the heels and we're gonna come up. So you're trying to control the way that you're moving as opposed to just coming up and down fast, which is not bad. It'll definitely strengthen the feet and the calf muscles. So I'm coming up and I'm coming down and then I'm coming up. Say you like a static hold, you could statically hold this. This is typically how I teach this. So when you come up, see if you can come up a little bit higher. If you're a person that's losing balance, we're holding it here, it may be that one hip or shoulder or head is too far forward, right? And then you can lower the heels. As you lower the heels, continue to lock the thumbs, but change the locking of the thumbs so that the other hand is on top. And then just look over the right shoulder and look over the left. Look center and then to the right and then to the left. Now, if you have a lot of weight in the toes, bring the weight into the heels so that you're more balanced. You can look center, you can look down, you can look up. You can bring the head down and you can bring it back up. So I'm going to bring the head around into a half circle. So bringing the head around and then bring it to the other side and then bring it back to the original over to the right. So just look up if you can and see which way your nose may point. So if it's pointing to the left, you're going to turn your head to the right a little bit. And then bring the head back to center. Come up on the toes again. As you come up on the toes, lift the heels. Again, some people fall out with their heels. Hug in. If you fall in, push out. And then you can lower the heels. And then as you lower the heels, just create a bit of a stance wider than the shoulders. And you're just going to be moving the arms. So just start out at where the hands are coming up, about the width or the height of the shoulders. And if you do have problematic knees, if you can see, I'm lifting my heels. When I take my arms to the left, my right heel is lifting up. When I take my arms to the right, my left heel is lifting. So it's just a matter of coordinating the feet and moving the arms Some people very tight in the shoulders, so it's hard to hold the arms in a static position. So just a few more and swinging the arms. It'll help with your neck. And then just bring the arms back into the middle. And I'm gonna turn just for the sake of having more space. So my left leg is forward, just as if you were throwing a ball. And you're gonna swing, just take the arm just in a circular motion. When it gets to the top, feel free to turn the body a little bit to your right. So when you take it up, I'm turning to the right and I'm bringing it down. I'm taking it up. When you take it up, try to look to the hand, try to follow the hand, and that'll help in moving the arm and giving you more rotation. And then bring the arm forward now, just as if you were throwing a ball. A big circular motion. And then when you get to the top, not that we're just dropping the arm, but it can be more relaxed. So you can see that there's a little bit more momentum. And then we'll bring it down. And I'm just, again, for the sake of having more space, I'm gonna turn. So my right foot is forward, my left foot is back. I'm gonna bring it back in space. And when I bring it back, I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna look to the hand. Bring it down.
Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah. And then bring it up and back. And one more time up and around. And then last time up and then down. So you're gonna bring it forward and think of a big circular motion. Right? And then last time down and around. Just have the feet again wide. Just go back to swinging the arms, but take them up a little bit higher if you can. As you take the arms or you're moving the arms, right? You can move the torso a little bit. Right? And then come back into the center and you could shake it out. Take the feet a little bit wider than the shoulders and with the feet wider than the shoulders. Turn the right foot to the right. Take the arms up to the height of the shoulders. Bend the right knee. And for those of you that do have tighter shoulders, you should start to see that it's a little bit easier to take the arms out here or, taking the arms overhead like in Warrior, 1. So push down through the feet. And I say this all the time, and I'm looking over the right hand. If it's easy, I may actually want to look over my left hand. So it's just, it's different than the classical way of doing the pose. Not that it's that much different, but it is a little different. So I want to be turning to places where I don't necessarily turn to, as opposed to always turning in angles that I already turn to. So a couple deep breaths, lift up out of the thighs, and bring the right forearm on the right thigh. Take the left arm forward and down, and bring it overhead, and maybe you're getting lower than I am. You perfectly could do that. So I'm moving my tailbone down, I'm adding strength into my abdomen, I'm extending through the arm, getting more exposure into the left side of my upper body and hips. Bring yourself back up into a Warrior 2 and have the right leg straight. You can bring the arms down for a moment. Turn the right foot in, turn the left foot out. Take the arms wide, and then on an exhale, you can bend the left knee. And again, you could be looking past the left hand the whole time, but the idea is that you're turning the hips to the right and the upper body is turning to the left. But what I'm saying is if it's difficult for you to turn your upper body in a particular angle, you could turn and then look over the hand. So then you're getting more rotation in an angle that you may actually need more. So bring the left forearm on the left thigh. Take the arm forward, almost like you're touching the floor, and then bring it forward, and then the pinky's lower than the thumb, extending the arm overhead. You can try to get more weight in the right foot. Take 3 deep breaths. Obviously the front leg is working more, but you want some influence in the back leg, and that's what will help stretch out more of the right side. Bring yourself back up into a Warrior 2. And then come back up and bring the arms down. Turn the left foot in and just step the feet back together just for a few breaths. Again, see the weight. Some people, that's why I really believe in taking photos of yourself, because what feels right is not necessarily right. So if you took a photo from the side, you could see like a profile of maybe some postural imbalances. So take the feet out into a wide space, and we're not going to do Warrior 2, but we're just opening up the inner thighs here. So I'm lifting the legs up and out, taking the legs out, taking the arms up. I'm turning my thumbs up and then I'm turning my thumbs back. So a good rotation in the shoulders. So if I have a lot of weight on the outsides of my feet, I'm trying to bring the weight into the insides. If I have some pain in my knee or my hip, I'm gonna definitely bring my legs in closer. But just start out slow. As it gets easier, move the feet out a little bit more. It's not about going as far as you can go. I mean, that has its place. But you wanna get strong stability in the hips so that you can take the legs out wider. So bring the feet in a little bit closer, actually a little wider than the shoulders, and turn the feet out. And you could have the arms down in front, overhead, right? I'm gonna take the arms out again, and then I'm gonna push the knees apart. So I'm just trying to get my pelvis to be in a posterior tilt. And by bringing the tailbone down, you should feel more exposure into the adductors, which can be really weak and tight for people. So push the knees apart. You know, if you're really struggling, obviously come up. You can come back into it. Bring yourself back up, bring your arms down. Turn the left foot in, turn the right foot out. Take the arms wide, reach out to the right and grab the right shin or the foot, and you can take the left arm up to the ceiling. So turn the upper body to the left. You want to be up higher. That has its place. Right, really good. I actually feel it more in my back hip when I'm higher. When I'm lower, I still feel it there, but there's more emphasis on the spine. So not everybody can get low, and that's why I really promote getting high up and then eventually getting lower. Take 2 deep breaths here. Keep using your feet to help with turning and twisting the body to the left. Then bring yourself back up, turn the right foot in, turn the left foot to the left. Take the arms wide, reach out to the left, pull the left hip back in space, take the right arm up. Keep extending through the top of the head. You could always look down, you know. Say it's difficult for you to take your head up, well then you could be looking down the whole time. I'm gonna think that my hand is on your right rib cage, and then you have an extra little bit of weight, and then you can turn up into that. Because turning to one direction will most likely be more difficult for you. So if you're right-handed, twisting to the right is typically more challenging. So use the back foot, keep using your breathing, and bring yourself back up. And when you come back up, we're gonna turn the left foot in, and you can step the feet back together, just a neutral position. So take the left leg up off the floor, pull it into the chest if you need it, take it out to the left a little bit, keep driving through the right foot. Use your hand as much as you need to, your left hand, to take it up more. And maybe it's low, but over time it'll be higher. You can bring it forward, you can bring it down. Take the right leg up off the floor, the right foot. Pull the knee into the chest. You can take it out to the right, change the angle. Could be all the way out. And then keep trying to lift the leg more and more into the shoulder. Enough, just so that there's a reference and that you're getting stronger through the hips. You can bring it forward, you can bring it down, and then we're gonna come into an all four position. So come down on your hands and your knees. So as you come down on your hands and your knees, just move the weight around, side to side. Right. Bring the weight back into the middle and turn the hands out slightly or all the way, and then moving the weight around. So get the wrists more involved, the hands. Use your fingertips when you're on your hands so that you're getting stronger through the shoulders to support the positions. And then come back into the middle and push the hands around the spine into a cat stretch. Look forward, look up. You can back bend. You can exhale, you can round your back. Back bend again, lift the chin, lift the chest. And then exhale in a rounded position. So have the hands just underneath the shoulders. Could be wider, right? Hands can turn out. Lift up into a plank. And if you really want to get technical, you could measure your angle with a block behind the left forearm or the right forearm or both. And then you get that straight line or true 90-degree angle. And just kind of, again, move the weight around if you can. Try to get what's not into the floor in terms of your knuckles. So you're spreading out the bones of the hands, right? And then come back down with the knees. Take the knees wide. You can sit back into a child's pose. I'm a believer of having your hips over your knees. That works really well. You could bring hands underneath the forehead. You could bring your arms back beside you. So if you have problematic shoulders, this is probably the best position. I could pull on my feet a little bit, which is great traction for the wrists as well. And then come back up to all fours. And then as you're up in all four position, lift the knees up off the floor, connect into the fingertips. Go up into a down dog. And in a down dog, pull the hips back in space. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Push strong through the hands and rotate through the shoulders. And if it's difficult, you don't have a lot of strength, pick your moments when to push or to be active in your practice, and that'll help you. But bring the weight forward so the weight's over, the shoulders are over the hands. Come to the knees, right? And just slowly lower down. When you come all the way down, take the arms into a W position. As the arms are in a W, shoulders are wide, nice and wide through the shoulders. Head is up or down. I prefer the head being down. So with the head being down, I'm getting more and more into my shoulders. Bring the arms down for a moment. Take them up again. Get the shoulders to be stronger. Hands can be in fists. Take 3 deep breaths. And then bring the arms down. Now come up onto the elbows, come up onto the forearms, and pull yourself forward in space. Look high over the left shoulder. Look high over the right. Bring it back to center, and just keep a low position. You want to come up higher. I'm going to do some cobra push-ups and then eventually a cobra. So bring the hands underneath you. Curl up into a low cobra or a higher position. Get a sense of where you're at in space in terms of should you come up more. Bring yourself down. Right, curl up into a low cobra, something medium of height or all the way up. Use your fingertips, use your breathing. Bring yourself forward, bring yourself down. One more time, come up, curl up, lift yourself up. Right, bring yourself forward, bring yourself down. Have the hands just underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes. Lift the knees, lift the thighs. If you can't, press up into a plank and go up into a down dog. So go all the way up into a down dog. Reach the heels down the floor. If you're a person that wants to get the heels down, try to lift the toes. So lift the toes up or get the weight back. Come forward and through into an up dog if you can. Lift the chest, lift the thighs. Go back up into a down dog. We'll do that again. Coming forward, strong abdomen, and if you won't feel as flexible with tension, but it's healthier with tension. Go back up into a down dog, and then walk the feet forward to the middle of the mat, and walk the hands back towards the feet. Just take the hands a little bit to the left side, a little bit to the right. Bring it back into the middle. Walk the hands forward to the top of the mat. Walk the feet forward. And with the feet forward, step the left foot back into a long runner's lunge. And if you can, of course, be high if you need to. But if you can, have the hands a little bit lower. And then I'm getting my armpit, my knee together. I've done this before, but the subscapularis is really, really tight for people, myself included. I'm kind of manipulating the tissues of the armpit with my knee, so it doesn't feel good. It shouldn't feel horrible, right? But it's definitely not going to be like a hug, right? It's going to hurt a little bit. Take the right arm up to the ceiling, so the right arm is high. I'm twisting my body to the right. I'm going to turn my thumb back, and then I'm going to turn it forward. I'm going to turn it back in space, and then forward. So Bring the back knee down the floor, and with the knee down, take the hands over to the left side, and if you can, just take the hands a little wider. Not that you're getting overextended, but when the arms are wider, the shoulders are wider. Your scapula is wider. Bring the hands back into the middle and move the weight around. So lean into your left side, lean into your right, you know, not wild, but getting into different corners of the hips. And then what you can do is connect your right hand on the inside of your right foot and take your left arm up to the ceiling. So pelvis could be squared or it could be open. As you're in this, you know, again, use more effort when you need it. You don't have to be all out effort, but if you find that you need more, then you are twisting more to this direction. Bring the left hand down, and then with the left hand down, see if you can come up higher up onto the thigh, and that could be blocks. But when you come up, keep lifting yourself up so that you're not just going back in space. I'm trying to lift more through the front of my body. I bring the hands down on the floor, take the back knee off the floor. Just for a moment, connect the armpit and the knee together. Then take the right arm up to the ceiling. So the right arm is up, the left hand is low. Drive through the right foot. Bring the right hand down and then step the left foot forward. So just take the hands to the left side, change the angle. Take the hands to the right. Bring the hands into the middle and then step the right foot back. And with your right foot back, connect your armpit and your knee together if you can. So kind of get the knee to fit into the armpit and you can dig it out. Like there's a lot of tissues that could be softer, right? So take 2 deep breaths and manipulating your arm, manipulating your shoulder, right? And then take the left arm up to the ceiling. So the left arm is high. Now turn the thumb out. Bring it forward, rotate it in, rotate it back, rotate it in, last time rotate it out, and then bring the left hand down. Bring the right knee down the floor and walk the hands over to the right side, and if you can, take your hands wider than your shoulders. Look high over the right shoulder. Breathe in, breathe out. Take the hands to the inside, and with the hands on the inside, my armpit, my knee will be together. You might need a block for your left hand, and then take the right arm up to the ceiling. So turn. So I'm bending my left elbow into my left thigh, and then I'm squeezing my left leg into my left arm, and then I'm turning towards the top arm, right? And then bring the right hand down. Now take the left hand on the outside of the left foot. You can move the weight around, stay low, or gradually come up. You know, coming up for most people is more difficult. Not that it's better, but push through the feet and lift up through the upper body and just kind of, again, see which direction you like to turn. Again, I'm always veering to the left. So actually, when my left leg is forward, most people need to turn to the left, but for me, I actually need to turn to my right. Bring your hands down, take your back knee off the floor. Again, for a moment, get the armpit and the knee together on the left side, and then take the left arm up to the ceiling. So pull the hips back in space. Think that your right hand is fully supporting you if you don't have a side plank yet. So you can use this is kind of like your side plank, but you want to eventually use your feet more, right? Bring the left hand down and then step the right foot forward. So both feet are forward. And then I'm just rocking forward into the front of my feet and then into my heels. So moving forward and back, right? And if you don't have a squat, like a freestanding squat, a good level of squatting is sitting on the second level is a great level, right, to squat. So I could be here. It's great if you're freestanding squatting, right? Feet out, perfectly valid. But like I've mentioned in other classes, you know, getting into a low squat will help you in terms of your hips, your digestion, posture. Right? Take a few deep breaths. You could look up. You could be looking over the shoulders. You could be moving the whole time. Take 2 deep breaths. Okay. And then come into a standing forward bend. So fold all the way forward into a forward fold. So fold forward. Take the hands to the left. Bring them to the right. Bring them back into the middle. And roll yourself up to standing. So as you roll up, take the hands behind the head and just get neutral or level and move the head back in space. So get the head to move back, elevate through the chest, broaden through the shoulders. If you've ever had a block or a hand in the middle of your back, just below the shoulder blades, think it's there. Keep going up towards the ceiling. Come back up to center, take the arms overhead, hook the thumbs and bend the knees slightly. And as you're bending the knees, pull the ribs in. As you pull the ribs in, frame the arms with the head and bring yourself back up. You can bring the arms down. So just go back to having the feet a little wider than the shoulders and just swing the arms. Again, where the arms are moving, the heel is lifting. So just getting the arms to move a little bit more for yourself. Right? And then make it a little bit higher if you can. And then just bring it back into the middle. So turn the left foot out. Bring the right arm back in space. Again, when I'm taking it all the way up to the top, it's okay to turn a little bit through the upper body, especially if you don't have a great amount of flexibility in the shoulder. That'll improve. Swing it forward as if you're throwing a baseball. And again, it could be kind of almost limp as you're bringing it down. And then you can bring it down. So the arms, said this before, for some people it takes a lot of practice. So I'm bringing it back in space in terms of getting the shoulder to be more flexible. And as I'm moving it back in an external rotation, like a backstroke, you'll start to feel your upper back start to get a little bit looser, which is a big part of why I'm doing this. You can swing it forward, and one shoulder, again, might need a slower motion, a more methodical approach, as opposed to just speed. And then you can bring it down. Have the feet forward for a moment. Take the feet out, a little bit wider than the shoulders, and fold forward into a forward fold. And then when you fold forward, I'm going to take my hands over to my left leg. I'm going to grab my right ankle with my left hand. I'm going to take the left arm up to the ceiling. So again, I'm going to use more effort if I need it. If I don't, or it's irritating, I might not be twisting as much. So I'm moving towards the left leg, elevate or twist to the left. Then bring the left hand down, take the hands over to the right leg. You can take the right arm up to the ceiling. So again, think that there's an external weight on the torso, just a little bit, nothing crazy, right? But some pressure that you can turn up into. And then bring the right hand down. Have the feet, if you can, a little bit wider. So take the feet out wider. As the feet go out more, you'll get more space through the lower and the upper body. So squeeze in for a moment and then push the legs apart. Again, you might feel some negativity in the knees or the hips. Bring the feet in closer if that's happening. If you can get the elbows to the floor, blocks. Take a couple deep breaths here. And then bring yourself back up onto your hands. And then as you come up onto your hands, you can toe heel the feet in. You can bring the hands on the hips. You can bring yourself up. And then you might need a block. We're going to get into side angle. And that could be on the inside or the outside of the foot. So if I'm bringing the block on the inside, it's on the inside. If I'm bringing the block, my hand on the outside, they both have benefits. And just bring it on the inside just for a reference. So I'll take the block on the inside, take the arms out wide, bend the right knee, and then you could bring the right hand on the block, measure, see the kind of pressure you're getting in the pose. If I'm higher, right, I'm getting stronger. So highly valuable. If I'm a person that needs more flexibility, well then you can certainly get lower, but just kind of know your tendencies in terms of what you really need. You can take the left arm overhead, right? Look to the hands. Think my hands are in your rib cage and I'm pulling the ribs in. Take the hand behind the head, right? Refer to what actually helps you more, and that's what you should be using, as opposed to just, this is what it is, right? Take the left arm overhead, and then bring yourself back up. Take the block with you, turn the right foot in, bring the block to the inside of the left foot. Take the arms wide, bend the left knee. So if you can't get lower, it's often the stance is too short. Make the stance longer, you'll most likely be able to get down. You could bring the left hand into the block or the floor. You could swing it forward. Bring weight into the right foot. Right, look to the hand, it's another good place. And then also taking the hand behind the head. Deep, deep breathing. Turn the body to the right. Take it overhead if that's better. Bring yourself back up. You can keep the block there. I'm going to do a triangle, right? Or you could bring it over to the right side. Bring yourself up, turn the left foot in. Make the stance a little bit shorter if you need it. Turn the right foot out. And with the right foot out, take the arms wide. Lift yourself up. Grab the right shin or the foot. Take the left arm up to the ceiling. So just kind of feel what your pelvis does in space. So my hand's on my tailbone and I'm moving my tailbone down. And by moving it down, I'm getting better exposure into the upper body. So take the left arm up. You're going to bring it forward, just straight overhead. And you could certainly be leaning back, right, if you wanted to. Like if my hand was on the outside, I could explore a different line or angle. And take the left arm up to the ceiling. You could bring yourself back up, turn the right foot in, turn the left foot out, take the arms wide, reach out to the left, have the hand on the outside or the inside, have the hand on the shin, take the arm up. And again, just what's important is your observations as you're in your positions, and then you can make really good choices as far as how you're doing your practice. So the left hand, again, it could be on the outside or the inside. If you take it forward overhead, right? So think my hands are on your ribs. Bring the right arm up, bring yourself all the way back up, and then turn the left foot in and just bring the feet back together, just a neutral stance. And then when you're neutral, just again relate to the feet. Do you have too much weight in the toes, too much weight in the heels? Do you have a tendency to lean into your right foot or your left? Just get it to be more balanced. And then what you'll do is take the right foot into the left thigh, so you can bring it up. As you take it up, you can take the hands together, you can take the arms up overhead. As you take the arms up, try to get more hollowed through the front of your body. Deep, deep breathing. Use your feet, use a wall in front of you, behind you, beside you to keep yourself up. Especially if you have something going on in your knee or your hip. It's so smart to do. You can bring the arms down, bring the knee forward and the foot down, and then take the left foot up. So if you have inflammation of the lower body, it's important that you slowly take the inflammation out so that you can develop more strength. You can take the arms up overhead. For instance, if you had pain in your knee and you're like, oh, I gotta get my knee stronger, and everything you do is get the knee stronger, and it just continues to hurt, well, you gotta take the inflammation out before you start loading up the legs or loading up the knees. This is a subtle kind of expression of that, but it's really the same thing. You can push through the right foot. Right, take a couple deep breaths here. Bring the arms down, bring the knee forward, bring the foot down, and then come down onto your hands and your knees again. So have the hands down underneath the shoulders. So with the hands underneath the shoulders, push through the hands, round the spine into a cat stretch. Look forward, look up, back bend. Exhale, round your back. Back bend again, lift the chin, lift the chest. And then you can exhale, you can round the spine. So come back and do a longer stance for plank. Fingers are straight forward, knees are lifting, pubic bones lifting, tailbones dropping. Explore the weight. And like if you say you do desire to do more on your hands, crow, side crow, any of those positions, handstands, get more practice in pushing. Push strong. Shouldn't hurt. It should actually feel pretty good. And then go back up into a down dog. People don't push enough and then they get into transitions or more eclectic poses. And then the hands or the wrists aren't really prepared for that. And that's partially why they have problems with the hands. So pull back through the thighs. Think I'm pulling the arms forward. Swing forward and through into an up dog. And go back up into a down dog. Come forward into a plank. Bring the elbows to the floor. And hold a plank on your forearms. Or spin your heels to the left side and take your right arm up. So really good in strengthening the inner thigh of the left leg. It's an area, again, that's weak. So take one more breath. Bring the right arm down. Spin the heels to the right side. Take the left arm up to the ceiling. As you're up and you're turning or you're twisting, try to keep the hips up more because it's easy for them to drop. Then bring the left arm down. Hold the plank. Bring your hips down, your thighs down. Pull yourself forward in space. And then just come all the way down and take your left arm out to the left and turn your head to the right. So it's the front of your shoulder that you're working on here. Bring your right hand into the floor and step your left leg over your right. Now the left hand could be lower or higher. It doesn't have to be in the straight line, but that's a good place to start. And then with my bottom hand, my right hand, I'm going to push more into the shoulder if I need it. So this is more passive stretching, which is, part of yoga. It's a big part of yoga, but you can push down through the left arm, right? And then just bring the head back or roll back onto your abdomen and then take the left arm up off the floor. Just kind of see how that is and lifting it. And then bring the left arm down. Now, just because I'm running out of space, I'm going to go off my mat. So take your right arm out to the right, turn your head to the left, and then with your head to the left, you could push your left hand into the floor and then step your left leg over your right leg. So now you're getting into the front of your right shoulder, the back of your shoulder. Push with your left hand if you need it more. And as you're pushing, right, it's not like all your effort. This is how I like it. Some people like the arm behind the back. That works perfectly well. Take a couple deep breaths here. And then turn onto your belly. And then as you turn up onto your belly, bring the head neutral and take the right arm up off the floor. Just kind of see how that is, lifting it. And then bring the hand down, the arm down. So come up onto your hands and your knees. And then as you come up on your hands and your knees, what you're going to do is have your hips over your knees and come down into your elbows and reach the arms forward. Now you could look forward in space, like getting into your back, getting into more of your thoracic. It's really hard on the shoulders, have the elbows bent. Pull the belly and the ribs in. Again, you can look forward. You can bring the head down at any time. Come up onto your hands and your knees. And then sit on a block on any height. So you could sit on the mid-level is a great height. If you got an extra block and you need it, of course, sit on a higher level. With your torso, lean back, right? If it's easy to lean back, you probably already do that. It's just your habit. Now, if I lean forward and it's really difficult for me to move forward in space, that's probably what you need. You'll see people running, and I used to see it all the time in Central Park. people leaning way back as they ran. You want to be directly over your pelvis, whether you're sitting, standing, or walking, running, right? Take the arms into a cactus position and just bring the hands forward. Right? Bring them up. Bring them forward and down. Right? Find a good static position that you can hold it in. Take the arms up and then bring the arms down. Now, if you can, sit a little bit lower. Sit lower in between your feet. Sitting on the feet is good. Sitting on the toes is good. All of these are good. Some work better than others. And then if you can, sit a little bit lower. Sit in between the feet. Now, I'm pulling the skin back on my knees. It's good to sit this low, but I haven't done it yet, but you could do it where you put a broomstick behind the knees. Really painful, but it'll help in getting the knee to fully flex, because it's probably tissues that are scarred up that limits you from bending the knee fully. It's been like that for a while. Every time you bend the knee, it pulls negatively on the patella. But over time, this is a very good position. Right, so come up, and then when you come up, I'm gonna come up on my toes. I'm gonna lift my knees off the floor just a little bit. I'm gonna bring them down. I'm gonna push through the hands and lift them up, and then bring them down. One more time, I'm gonna push, rounding through the shoulders and taking them up. Now you could go into down dog as opposed to doing a back bend. I'm gonna do an asymmetrical camel. I really like the rotation. I never have any back pain when I rotate in a back bend. It's a great way. You can come up on the toes, and when you come up on the toes, I'm gonna look to my left foot. Maybe that's all I'm doing. It's just a rotation. You could reach for the foot with the left hand. Right? The right hand, how I have my hand is I'm lifting my torso into my hand. Could be a number of places, high up on the collarbone, sternum, 2 good spots. Then bring yourself back up, and then rotate to the right. You could grab the right foot, tailbone's moving down, right? And glutes are active, right, to protect your back. Again, try to lift through the sternum or the collarbone or both. Bring yourself up, rotate to the left, grab the left ankle. Say you're getting better or more flexible and you want it deeper, feet could be flat. You can be grabbing other things too. Like a block could be further away from you, as an example. Bring yourself up, reach for the right foot, lift through the chest. Keep extending up, especially if you are experiencing some compounding in the lower back. Again, if you want to get lower, keep going up rather than just back. Bring yourself up, and then just sit on the feet. So sitting on the feet, nice and tall. Take 3 deep breaths. And then come off the knees, come off the feet. Take the legs forward and just circle the feet in a big circular motion. Just get the feet to move around. Circle around the opposite direction. Circle around. Then point the feet, flex the feet, point and flex. Just try to bring the soles of the feet together, so the outsides of the feet. Very good for your ankles. And then unlock the feet. Have the knees bent. Have the hands underneath the shoulders. Push through the hands, rotate the shoulders out. And you could take the head back in space if you want. So big, big lift in the chest. And bring the head forward. And then if you're up, just bring the hips forward towards the heels a little bit and then back. So sometimes people don't necessarily know if they should be all the way forward. So I like a rocking motion just for a moment. And then, then you have the option of coming out. So if you don't really have the awareness, don't hold a long static position, no matter what the position is. So come down with the hips. Bring the hips more forward if you can. Get more into the front of the shoulders. Take 3 deep breaths here. And again, if I had pain in my elbow, definitely back here. You know, I don't want more, again, inflammation in my elbow. I do a lot of handstands so that, you know, I don't want to limit myself. And then bring your hips back in space. Connect the armpit and the knee together. So get the knee and the armpit together if you can. And it could be your chest. If you have pain in your back or history of lower back pain, sit on something higher. All right, take a few deep breaths here. Push the foot forward into the hands. All right, bring the left foot down and then take the right leg back in space. And with the right leg back in space, push the foot forward into the hands. Elevate through the chest. Deep, deep breathing. Right, and then bring that foot down and then just have both knees bent and take the left foot outside the right hip. Step the right foot over the left knee. Now you could just get into the classical twist, which I will do, but I'm getting my left arm around and low, and it should target the outside of your hip more and more. Now I could let my head relax down. Again, if you have a lot of, whether you're strong or not, this area can be really tight. So I'm spending more time on this so that twisting's easier, back bending's easier. Stay here or lift the head, lift the chest, and then you can twist to the right. So get yourself to lift up away from your pelvis. Look over the right shoulder. A nice option is using the block. So notice how I have the block here. Take the block further and further away from me, and then that'll help add more exposure into my back, specifically the upper back. And then you could turn forward, and then when you turn forward, you could release the arms and legs. Have the hands underneath the shoulders, lift the hips back up into a tabletop position. Broaden the shoulders, broaden your back. Take your head back if that's better for you. And then bring the head forward, bring the hips down. Have the knees bent. Take the right foot outside the left hip. Step the left foot over the right knee. And with the right foot over the left knee, you could take the right arm around the left shin. And then you can kind of pull in. And then it's more and more specific for the outside of the hip, the post-capsule of the hip. So if you had really unstable hips, probably not the best thing. You know, the few people that I've taught over the years have that. You know, this wouldn't be for them, right? But for most people, it's an area that is tight, and that's why I use it so often. So the head could relax down. Take 3 deep breaths here. And then bring yourself back up. Connect the armpit and the knee together. Look over the left shoulder. The left hand could be up on the block, right? I can move the block further away. You know, again, so you can breathe. As it gets easier, that's when I'll move the block further away, right? Or it could be a wall that, you know, you're using as a reference. So take a couple deep breaths. Again, move the block further away from yourself if you need that more. You get more separation in the scapula, and then you could turn forward and you could release the arm and the leg. So come just into a seated position. So just sit cross-legged and take the left hand to the left and just reach the right arm up to the right, just to relax the neck. Now the hand could be on a chair. That might actually be better for you. So take a few deep breaths here. Right, bring yourself back up. Slide the right hand to the right side. Take the left arm out to the left. Let the head relax down. And then bring yourself back up and then recross the legs. So we're going to do it again. As you take the arm, the left hand out to the left, reach the right hand up to the right. And then take the right hand behind the head and turn right. Move the head back in space. As the head moves back, lift through the upper body, twist to the right. And, you know, maybe you're not pushing so much, but It could be that you're using quite a bit of effort here. It's a position like this or a side angle. I've never had any kind of negative, not that you should just, again, go all out, but as you're turning and twisting to the right, you can, it's a lot of tension for most people, so you can use more effort here. And take the right arm out to the right side, bring yourself back up. Take the right hand to the right side, reach the left hand to the left. Take a couple deep breaths. Maybe the hand here is better than the hand behind the head. Take the left hand behind the head, turn through the chest, move the left elbow back in space. I've said this before, if you're up against a piece of furniture, like a sofa, you want your hips all the way back up into the sofa. Then you want your back, right? But a very good way of doing this pose, it's like getting adjusted from another person. And then bring the left arm up to the left and then bring yourself back up. So set yourself up so that you have some blocks. We're gonna do fish, and then we'll do some rotations on the floor. So have the block, I'm on the second level, you could be on the lowest level. And then when you have it, it's just underneath the shoulder blades. Now if the block is too hard, put something over it like a blanket. And then the second block, what you could do is just support the head and then go back. But same level is a great place to start because it's much easier. And let's say you go back and you're like, whoa, this is so hard on my back. Before you change the height of the blocks, you could put your hands underneath your hips, and that makes it much easier. You could put a pillow underneath your hips. But getting the head back in space, I think is important, very important as we age. So keeping the head on this block, I'm going to take my left arm underneath my right arm. I'm just going to grab my shoulders. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, you might see that your one shoulder is predominantly lower. So that shoulder, you want that to lift more, and then that side of the spine to lift more. So, and it's not to say that you can't do it for the other arm. It's just if you have some scoliosis, which most people do, that side that's dropping, you'll notice that there's a significant drop throughout that side of the body, like a fallen arch, more pain in one knee, more pressure in one hip. So I'm here, and then over time, as I'm like, say I want to adjust my body more than relax. I'm going to change the level of the block. I'm going to bring it lower. Not that that's better. It's just there's more leverage. I'm still a little active here. So my abdomen and my ribs, they're supporting the back bend as opposed to just going back. Right? Take 3 deep breaths. And you could obviously spend more time in this, but let's say you're done, you could bend the knees, keep everything where it's at, and roll either to your right or your left side. And then when you roll up, or when you roll to the side, just stay on the right side. So just take a couple deep breaths here. And then what you could do is you could take the block out that's behind you for your back, and just put it off to the side, or just so that it's out of the way. You could use the blocks for your knees, eventually for Shavasana. So lie back on your back, and then when you lie back on your back, have your hands over your elbows and lift up into a bridge. So still think that the block is into the upper back, the shoulders are back. Think I'm pulling on your hips forward towards your feet. And then as you get that pull from hips to feet, lift literally through the spine. So get the spine to lift more. Glutes are strong, not super rigid, but take your right leg on top of your left leg if you can. Push strong through the left heel, elevate through the pelvis. Bring the right foot down lightly, and then bring the left leg up. Take the left shin on top of the right thigh. Think I'm pulling on your left femur, and I'm rotating it out. And that'll help with, sitting on the floor. So bring the left foot down, take a couple deep breaths, and then bring the hips down. And then when you bring the hips down, just bring the knees in. So you can rest the knees in, you can rest the arms on the body. Deep, deep breathing. And just kind of think about it. You might just want to rest here. I'm going to do one more twist. Take the feet a little wider than the mat and let the knees carry to the right. So you can look over the left shoulder. Heavy through the shoulders, heavy through the head. Take one more breath here. Lift the knees up. Take the knees to the left side. So the right knee is in. You can look over your right shoulder. And then lift your legs back up. And just as you're on your back, whether you're going to do a Shavasana, supported back bend, what I'd mentioned about that side that's lower, before you line up on your mat, just get a little longer on that side, and then you could take the legs forward and you could rest. You need support for your thighs, so your feet always turn out. That's not necessarily bad, but it can be, but it's more for relaxing the hips. So I'm just putting the strap around my thighs, and this is a good way to help relax, again, the tension in your hips. So you don't have to do this, but it's a good way. And then once you go back on your back, you could rest your hands, rest your arms, rest your feet. Breathe heavily up into your upper body, just for a few breaths. And you're more than welcome to lie longer, right? Spend more time on your back. But let's say you're ready to move again. You could wiggle your fingers, your toes. You could swallow a couple of times. And then when you pull the knees in, take a breath, roll up or roll to your side. And then you could bring yourself up into a seat. You could sit a higher surface if you want. So I hope you had a great class. That's what the classes are here for. Again, let me know what you need in terms of injuries or progressions, and I'd love to help you more. So maybe I'll see you tomorrow in class, the Zoom class. Register on my website. It's Jon Witt Yoga. Remember that all my classes are on my YouTube channel. It's Jon Witt, and I hope you're doing really well. We love the support, so thank you. Namaste.